You have asked yourself questions before, quietly, in the corners of your mind. Questions no one else would hear. But tonight, maybe you ask a different one. A question that makes the blood in your veins hesitate. A question that you cannot answer, because the answer is not in words. Have you ever noticed how your presence bends for others? How your energy, invisible yet undeniable, flows toward people who will never notice it? How you move through the world like a shadow seeking warmth. And yet, often, the warmth is never there. You have chased, haven't you? Chased attention, love, approval, perhaps even forgiveness. Perhaps you did not call it chasing. You may have called it care, sacrifice, responsibility, or maybe you called it instinct, but chasing is what it was, nonetheless. You might think for a moment that this is normal, that everyone gives themselves away in fragments until there is nothing left. But you know differently, you feel differently. Your bones know the cost before your mind does. Your chest carries the weight of giving that is never returned. Your hands have held emptiness and smiled at it. Ask yourself, what happens when the chasing stops? Not when you are forced to stop, not when the world collapses or turns you away, but when you simply stop. You may imagine relief, a sigh, a lifting, but it is not that simple. It is not gentle. It is strange, unsettling. Because when you stop, you realize how much has been taken from you, how much of yourself exists only in relation to others. And in that moment of quiet, the emptiness is not comforting. It is sharp, dangerous. It has weight. It moves inside you like a river of something you cannot name. Do you feel it now? The subtle tension in your chest, the tiny trembling of your hands, the way your mind recoils at its own stillness. You are afraid of nothing, and yet everything feels exposed, because you see what was hidden, the parts of you that were always there, waiting, watching, waiting for a moment when the world would stop asking for pieces of you could not give. There is a truth here, not a comforting truth, not a poetic one, a cold truth. The world does not notice. The world does not pause. The world does not mourn what it does not see. And yet, in this quiet, in this suspension, you are free, perhaps, or perhaps free is too gentle a word. It is more like dangerous. You are dangerous now, not in violence, not in noise, but in the quiet awareness of what you are capable of withholding, of what you have withheld for years, of the emotional power that has slept beneath your skin, undisturbed until now. Ask the question again, not softly this time. Ask it with weight. Ask it like the shadow that follows you everywhere asks itself when no one is looking. What happens when I stop chasing and simply exist? There is no answer yet. Only the stillness. Only the pause. Only the faint, cold echo of a self that has been waiting to be seen by no one but itself. By no one. Perhaps too much. Not because the world asked you to, but because you allowed it. Because you believed that giving yourself away, quietly, endlessly, was the path to connection. Do you remember the nights when your body ached, not from work, not from movement, but from the weight of feeling, from the sheer intensity of absorbing everything, everyone, all at once? You were sensitive, yes, but more than that. You were a vessel for emotions that were never yours to hold. You may think that your suffering is your fault, that perhaps you asked for this, that perhaps you drew the wrong kind of attention or offered too much. But consider this, your heart did not betray you. Your empathy did not err. It is the world that misreads it, that misunderstands it. You have given and given and given until your own reflection became a stranger, until you looked in the mirror and wondered who was looking back, who this hollow-eyed figure was, who carried a storm no one could see, who whispered apologies to a world that never asked. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still standing, even if unevenly, still listening to the voices you should have abandoned long ago, yet never could. You are not weak. Do not call yourself weak. There is power in what you have endured. Not the kind of power that is loud or recognized, not the kind that brings praise or admiration. It is the quiet, dangerous internal power of surviving while being invisible, of holding everything inside without breaking entirely, of walking through the world carrying storms no one else notices. Have you noticed how this power has made you invisible? Yes, invisible. The world overlooks what is too intense, too deep, too knowing, and that invisibility is both a curse and a shield. It protects you while also reminding you of what you have lost. You may feel anger, you may feel resentment, or you may feel nothing at all, an empty space inside where the world once whispered promises it never kept. Do not be afraid of these feelings. They are not mistakes. They are evidence. Evidence that you have sensed the weight of reality in ways others cannot. Take a moment. Feel the truth of it, the quiet, dangerous truth that your emotions were never simple, that they have shaped you, that they have defined the contours of your existence, and that even now they are yours, untamed, unshared, unclaimed by anyone but yourself. Do not apologize for the depth you carry. Do not diminish it. Do not try to explain it. It is not meant to be explained. It is meant to exist. It is meant to be acknowledged, first, by you, and in acknowledging it, you claim something the world cannot take, the awareness that you have felt more than most, that you have lived in shadows yet survived, that your empathy, your endless giving, was never a weakness. You are seen, not be, ye others, not yet, but by yourself, and perhaps that is enough, for now, inside you, there is a war, quiet, invisible, unending. No one sees it, and perhaps that is why it is so consuming. It does not rage with fire or noise. It whispers, it coils, it reminds you of every choice, every longing, every surrender. You have learned to navigate the world with caution, yet your heart moves in chaos. It desires connection, yet recoils at its own vulnerability. It seeks recognition, yet resents the cost of being seen. You want to belong, but fear the surrender that belonging requires. Do you feel it? The subtle trembling of your soul as it balances between giving and withholding, between hope and the deep certainty of disappointment? The world asks for your light, and you give it again and again and again. And yet when you look at yourself, you see only shadows. Shadows you thought you had hidden. Shadows you tried to ignore. Shadows that have learned to wait, quietly, patiently, for the moment you falter. Inside, there is a tension, a conflict of instincts. You want to feel everything for everyone. Yet you know it is destroying you. You want to remain soft, open, endlessly giving. Yet the cost has grown unbearable. You have walked the line between survival and surrender so many times that it has begun to blur, and now you cannot even tell which way you are leaning. Do you notice how exhausting it is? How every interaction, every smile you offer, carries a hidden calculation, not a conscious one, but a subtle, desperate measure of how much of yourself you can give before nothing remains, and even then, the world may still demand more. This is the quiet tyranny of being sensitive, of being empathic, of feeling too much, too often, and for the wrong recipients. It is not a flaw, it is a danger, a dangerous power you cannot control, not fully. Ask yourself, how long can you continue like this? How long can you bend, mold, stretch, without breaking? And when you break, where will the pieces fall? Who will care for them? Who will see them? Perhaps you have tried to ignore it, to rationalize it, to bury the discomfort under smiles, laughter, obligations. But the conflict does not disappear. It waits, it grows, it lingers in the space between what you give and what you take, in the silence of your thoughts, in the moments when no one watches. Do you understand it yet? The dangerous duality within you, the part that wants to give endlessly, and the part that whispers, stop, withdraw, protect yourself before it is too late. It is not a battle you can win with force. It is not a struggle that can be reasoned away. It is a tension that must be witnessed, by you, alone, without judgment, without hope, simply awareness. This is the beginning of understanding, the shadow of your own boundaries, the weight of your own desires, the recognition that the world does not bend for your empathy and never will. And yet, the war continue. Quietly, persistently, inside you. And then, there are the nights when no one is watching, when the world expects you to hold it together, but the weight inside becomes unbearable. The nights when you collapse quietly, imperceptibly, beneath the surface of life. No one hears the sound of your breaking, no one notices the subtle fracture of your bones, not the literal ones, but the ones that form the scaffolding of your being. You have held so much energy, so much feeling, so much unspoken pain, and now it overwhelms you. You curl inside yourself, not physically, but mentally, emotionally. Your chest constricts, your limbs feel heavy, your thoughts spin in circles like a storm trapped under glass. There is no release here, no heroism, no dramatic epiphany, only silence, only the slow erosion of everything you have carried, every unacknowledged hurt, every piece of love given that was never returned, every boundary crossed, every compromise made in the name of care. It is terrifying, not because it is visible, not because anyone else could witness it, but because it is you, your own mind, your own heart, the parts of yourself you have ignored, denied, or suppressed for years. They are awake now, and they are loud. You may feel tears, or perhaps numbness. You may feel both at once. Your body betrays you with trembling, a subtle quiver in your hands or jaw, as if reminding you that nothing remains untouched by what you carry. Even your solitude is not safe. Even your own thoughts are intrusive, merciless, relentless. Ask yourself, how long have you ignored this? How long have you told yourself that giving endlessly, chasing endlessly, was noble, and yet the price of that nobility has always been your own self, the cost paid in silence, the currency, exhaustion, emptiness, isolation. There is a strange, dangerous beauty in this breakdown, not the beauty of hope or inspiration, not the beauty of redemption, but the beauty of raw, unfiltered reality, the moment when you confront exactly what it means to be human, to be vulnerable, to feel too much for too long. Do not shy away from it. Do not try to fix it. Do not call it weakness. This breakdown is proof of your depth, proof that your emotions are alive, dangerous, powerful, and untamed. You may feel ashamed, embarrassed, afraid, but these feelings are yours, not to hide, not to dilute, not to apologize for, and when the night finally ends, when you rise again, you are not the same as before. Somewhere in this collapse, some fragment of you has shifted. Some boundary, some awareness, some part of your power has been reclaimed. This is the stage before the shadow, the stage before detachment, before the subtle awakening that will follow. But for now, here, in the quiet, in the invisible fracture, you exist fully in your own dangerous emotional reality. In the quiet aftermath of collapse, there is the shadow, not the one cast on the wall by light, not the one shaped by fear or superstition, but the shadow that lives within you, the hidden silent companion you have carried all your life. It waits, always waiting, lurking beneath the surface of your consciousness, the parts of yourself you have denied, ignored, or disowned. Anger you have told yourself is wrong, resentment you have buried beneath apologies, fear you have labeled weakness. All of it waits for acknowledgement. Have you met it before, perhaps in fleeting flashes, a sudden irritation that consumes you, a pang of jealousy that surprises you, a bitterness towards someone you once loved but dared not speak aloud? These are not mistakes, they are truth, they are you, not the polished, visible self you offer the world, not the one who gives endlessly, who sacrifices without notice, but the raw, untamed self, the self that has been waiting, patient and unforgiving. Do you see it now? The shadow is not to be fought, it is not to be judged, it is to be recognized. Its power is quiet, but immense. It carries the weight of all the emotions you have suppressed, all the rage, all the sorrow, all the hunger for recognition that has nowhere to go. And it is dangerous, not in the way of violence or cruelty, but in the way it changes perception. It alters your reality when you finally look at it. You have feared this shadow, and yet it has been faithful. It has survived when you doubted yourself. It has witnessed your giving, your bending, your breaking. It has catalogued every wound, every compromise, every fragment you have lost. And now it asks only one thing: see me, see yourself. Do not mistake this confrontation for comfort. It is not warm. It is not safe. It is not meant to soothe. It is sharp, unsettling, even frightening, because it forces you to acknowledge that the parts of yourself you have denied are real and powerful. And in this recognition, something shifts. You begin to understand that your emotions, once dangerous, untamed, unmanageable, are not enemies. They are not weaknesses. They are pieces of your power, fragments of a self you have hidden to survive in a world that demanded your invisibility. The shadow reminds you. Every tear you have held, every resentment you have swallowed, every anger you have suppressed, all of it is alive and all of it is yours. You are no longer a passive participant in your own life, even if you do not act, even if you do not change. Acknowledging the shadow is an act, a dangerous, intimate act, because you are looking at yourself fully, without disguise, without apology.
This is the first step toward detachment, the first acknowledgement of inner power, the first awareness that reality itself begins to shift when you no longer deny the fullness of who you are. The shadow is patient but relentless, and now you are awake enough to see it, to feel it, to carry it consciously rather than unconsciously, like a storm beneath your skin. And though it is unsettling, though it may frighten you, this is not the end. It is a beginning in which your emotions, once dangerous in their unconsciousness, become a force you can finally recognize. Here, Section 6, Emotional Detachment Phase, fully expanded in your requested arc, reflective, cinematic style, flowing naturally from the shadow realization in Section 5. Hashtag Section 6, Emotional Detachment Phase, calm, low-energy narration, dark, reflective 650 words, a faint hollow wind, occasional distant dripping, long pause before voice begins, and then you stop. Not because anyone forced you, not because the world turned cold, not because the weight became unbearable, though it was. You stop because something inside quietly says, enough. A subtle shift, almost imperceptible, like the slow turning of a shadow across a room. Pause. Silence. You stop chasing. You stop giving endlessly. You stop bending toward expectations that were never yours to carry. And suddenly, the world feels different. Not warmer, not safer. Different. Pause. Soft, distant hum. At first, it is disorienting. The emptiness where your energy once flowed feels strange. You may feel guilt. You may feel fear. You may feel the weight of your own presence as if it were foreign, because for so long your existence was defined by others, and now it is defined by nothing, by yourself. Do you notice the subtle power in this nothingness? It is quiet, almost invisible, but it is there. The power to withhold, the power to observe, the power to feel, without reacting, without bending, without spilling yourself into the emptiness of expectation. Detachment is not numbness. It is not indifference. It is a strange, dangerous awareness, a recognition that you are no longer bound by the invisible chains of the world's demands, that your emotions, once scattered and uncontrollable, can now exist without being weaponized, without being given away. It is still unsettling. It is still uncomfortable. And that discomfort is necessary. Do you feel it?
the strange clarity that comes with withdrawal, the quiet gravity of your own being no longer borrowed, no longer demanded. People will notice or they will not. The world will continue with or without your energy. And yet, in this pause, in this deliberate absence, you begin to exist for yourself. There is a coldness to this stage, not cruelty, not hatred, but a detachment that protects, a stillness that observes, a space between you and the chaos you once absorbed, and in that space, you are powerful, dangerous, not in action but in presence, not in outward force but in the quiet refusal to dissolve into expectation. It is strange, even frightening, because for so long giving was your identity, and now you are nothing. And yet, nothing has weight, and weight is presence, and presence is awareness, and awareness is power. You may not feel ready, you may resist, you may try to chase again, in fleeting moments before realizing it is pointless. And that is the lesson of detachment. The world may reach for you, but it no longer owns you. Your emotions, your energy, your attention, they are yours, dangerous, uncontrollable, alive, and held within yourself. This is not freedom, not yet. It is not release. It is the beginning of something else, the awakening of the self that was always present, but submerged under giving, chasing, and expectation. A self that is quiet, still, and dangerous in its autonomy. And then something shifts, not suddenly, not violently, but subtly, inexorably, like the first light slipping through a crack in a closed door. You feel it in your chest, in the rhythm of your heartbeat, in the slow awareness of your own presence. You are awake, not awake in the way the world defines it, not awake with purpose, ambition, or recognition. Awake in the raw, dangerous sense, aware of yourself, aware of the emotions you have carried, tamed, denied, and now, observed, aware of the hour that exists in simply feeling, simply existing, simply being. The world may still demand from you. People may still reach, ask, pull, plead, but you no longer bend. You no longer chase. You no longer give away fragments of yourself in the hope of validation. And in that refusal, something returns. Power, cold, quiet, internal power. Not loud, not aggressive, not visible, but real, present. A weight inside you that cannot be measured, only sensed. It pulses beneath the surface, steady and undeniable. Your emotions, once scattered, chaotic, dangerous in their unconsciousness, now pulse in rhythm with your own boundaries, your own awareness. You are no longer at the mercy of others. You are no longer defined by the tides of expectation. This power is not comforting. It is not warm. It is not soft. It is clinical, precise. It carries a stillness that is unsettling, because it reminds you of what was lost, of what you have endured, of the storm you have carried quietly for years, and now you hold it consciously. You hold it fully, and in holding it, the world subtly changes. You notice it first in the way others perceive you, or perhaps you notice it only in yourself, in the way your attention no longer diffuses, in the way your emotions no longer scatter, in the way your presence commands nothing, yet everything shifts around it. There is clarity here, but it is cold, unsettling, a recognition of reality's rawness. You have returned to yourself, not in innocence, not in softness, not in hope, but in sharp, measured awareness. You see the world clearly, and you see yourself clearly, the dangerous, untamed, autonomous self that always existed, buried beneath giving, bending, chasing, collapsing, now conscious, now alive, now powerful. Do not mistake this for happiness. Do not search for warmth here. It is not there. This is something deeper, something colder, something necessary, because in knowing your power you cannot ignore it, you cannot deny it, and you cannot pretend it is small. And perhaps that is the point. The awakening is not for comfort, it is not for applause, it is for survival, for sovereignty, for the subtle reclamation of yourself. And in this quiet, unsettling return, you recognize the truth. The world may bend, break, or ignore, but your power, your presence remains. This is not triumph, not closure, not freedom. It is awareness, cold, dangerous, unshakable. And now you arrive here, not at a resolution, not at clarity, not at comfort, but at a stillness that is both quiet and dangerous. A stillness where the echoes of what you have carried, what you have endured, what you have hidden, remain. You have seen your shadow. You have witnessed the breakdown. You have stopped chasing. You have recognized the power of your own presence. And in all of this, something subtle has shifted. You notice it first in the absence of noise, not the absence of sound, but the absence of obligation, the absence of pulling, of giving yourself away before you even realized it. The world continues its relentless motion, but you are no longer a part of its machinery. You exist alongside it, not beneath it, not for it, not because of it. There is a quiet discomfort here. You feel it in the hollow spaces of your chest, in the subtle tension behind your eyes, in the knowledge that the world will not stop demanding, and you will not bend as you once did. It is unsettling, uncomfortable, necessary. You may feel guilt or fear or a strange emptiness. These feelings are not mistakes. They are evidence, evidence that you are awake, evidence that you have returned to yourself, even if the self you return to is not soft, even if it is sharp, cold, and quietly dangerous. And perhaps the world does not notice, perhaps it never will, but that does not matter, because the world never defined you. It never owned you. You are present in your own gravity, in your own power, in your own recognition. And that presence is unsettling, not just to others, but to yourself. You are aware now of what it means to exist fully, without chasing, without surrendering. You are aware of the dangerous potency of your own emotions. The shadow, the breakdown, the detachment, all of it has returned you to yourself. And in this quiet awareness you realize, the world may bend, twist, even collapse around you, but you are unmoved, not indifferent, not soft, unmoved in a way that is cold, unsettling, and alive. Do not search for warmth. Do not seek comfort. Do not expect applause. This is not a story of triumph. It is a story of existence, of observation, of knowing the full weight of your emotions, the dangerous power they carry, and the calm of simply being, and so you remain, a presence no longer borrowed, a self no longer scattered, a consciousness fully aware of its own depth, its own shadow, its own dangerous clarity. The world continues to move. People may reach for you, they may not. It does not matter. You exist fully, quietly, unsettlingly, and that is enough.